Hello and welcome to this session on computational mathematics. In this session, we are going to discuss about the importance of mathematics with respect to machine learning and deep learning, as well as we are going to discuss about linear algebra, specifically scalars and vectors. So why mathematics? Why we are studying mathematics? Now, if you take example of real-time scenario, we use mathematics for calculating everything in our life. Okay, so now to communicate with environment also we use mathematics. So it's a language through which we can communicate with our environment. Our brain is able to understand or interpret things because of mathematics. So our brain does a lot of calculation and understands a different kind of things, like we are able to do all kind of calculations. Our brain does like thinking, processing of information. All this is done and is possible because of mathematics. Now here, to understand like why we are studying mathematics, here there is an example of a circle. So we'll take this example of a circle. So now this is called as a perfect circle, or you can call it as an ideal circle. So now what is an ideal circle? So an ideal circle or perfect circle is something where every point on the circumference is exactly the same distance from its center point. So now here each of the point from its circumference is exactly of same distance from the center. So if we ask a question like, is there any natural object in existence which resembles an ideal circle? Is there any natural object, okay, which resembles an ideal circle? So it is very difficult to find out. And like if you say the answer is actually no, okay, the answer is actually no. So there is no such object in existence like which we have discovered yet which resembles an ideal circle. Now to find out an ideal circle, we have to measure infinite number of points on the circle's circumference to know for sure, okay, if something exists or not. And that too also we have to go particle level, that is molecular level, to figure out if there is any such object. But right now, like we have not yet discovered any such object which resembles an ideal circle. So now here you can say that this is a perfect example of a circular object. This is a perfect circle. So math defines perfection. So math tells us that there might be such object which might be like this, like which might be perfect. Okay, so this is a perfect circular object. Now by using the same concept, we calculate all kind of things, like we can calculate any kind of circular object. Okay, so any kind of rounded or circular object we are able to measure because of the concept of this perfect circle. So math is something which defines perfection. So it is a language which is perfect. So that's why like here whatever computation we do in mathematics, like in machine learning as well as deep learning, is nothing but all mathematical calculations we do here to find out the hidden insights behind the data, to do all kind of like image recognition, or like face detection, okay, or for speech recognition engines, or any kind of applications we do like stock market prediction. Any application you see is nothing but here we work around with numbers. So like here what we do is like we convert our data to numbers, and that's how like we compute everything here to understand or to communicate with our environment. So that's why like here also mathematics is a very important part. So it is a language which defines perfection. That's what we understood. So now here, like if you take the importance of mathematical topics with respect to machine learning. So what are the topics which are there in machine learning? So now here, like if you look at mathematics topics, the most important topic here is linear algebra. That is the most important topic. So you can see like within this chart it says 35% contribution towards machine learning is of linear algebra. Next is probability and statistics. So statistics is basically a study of data, where here also probability, if you take probability, is just measuring the likelihood or uncertainty. So that's why 25% contribution is there from probability and statistics. If you look at the next one is multivariate calculus. Multivariate calculus is also very important mathematical topic which is used in machine learning as well as deep learning. And then we have algorithm and complexity, which contributes around 15%, and few other mathematical concept around 10%. So now if you break it down further, like to look into the four major mathematical pillars here, you can say statistics, calculus, linear algebra, and probability. These are the four major important mathematical concepts which are there with respect to machine learning or deep learning, or you can also take data science. So statistics is at the core of machine learning and deep learning. So statistics tells us how to study data, how to describe data, how to understand data, how to infer data. So those things are there in statistics where we can study data. So here basically we break down data into numbers and we do statistical calculation to understand the pattern, to understand the relationship among variables and all. Now the next one is calculus. Calculus tells us how to learn and optimize our model. Suppose we are we are using some algorithms and we are doing some training on top of the algorithm, and you want to optimize the errors, you want to reduce the errors, or you want to make the learning process simpler, then you will be using calculus here. The next one is linear algebra. Linear algebra makes running this algorithm feasible on massive data sets. So using linear algebra, we can run this algorithm on massive data sets. So usually like data sets will be in millions or billions. Now to do all those calculations on top of the data, we can break it down to matrices or vector space sets and we can calculate. So that's why linear algebra comes into picture. The next one is probability. Probability helps in predicting the likelihood of an event occurring. So it's like measure of uncertainty to figure out if something is going to happen or not, what is the likelihood of that event occurring. So these are the four major pillars of mathematics which is there in machine learning. So why maths? Why do we need to study maths here again? The reason is linear algebra, statistics, probability, and calculus are the languages in which machine learning is formulated. So learning these topics will contribute a deeper understanding of the underlying algorithmic mechanics. We should be able to know why something works and why one model is better than the other. So now here, like in machine learning and deep learning, there are so many algorithms, so many models, okay, which are created by using mathematical concepts. Now to understand how each of the model work, okay, so we have to know maths because all these models are formulated using mathematics. Now once you understand mathematics, you can understand why some of the algorithms are better than others and how each of the algorithm works and when to use which algorithm, that you will be able to understand once you understand mathematics. So now to start off with mathematics, first we will be looking into linear algebra. So linear algebra is the branch of mathematics concerning linear equations such as linear functions and their representations through matrices and vector spaces. So here in linear algebra basically we study linear equations. Okay, the equations which are linear, that is like where your input and outputs are linearly related with one another. Basically like we can also call it as linear functions, and their representation and how do we compute these linear functions using matrices or vector spaces. So now to start off with the first concept in linear algebra, it is called as scalar. So this concept, the first concept which we come across in linear algebra is scalar. So what is a scalar? So scalar is something that has only magnitude. So scalar is something that has got some magnitude. So it is just a single number. In mathematical concept, you can say it's nothing but it's just a single generic number. So any generic number is a scalar value. So like if you take here values like 10, so 10 is a scalar value which has got some magnitude. So magnitude is nothing but the distance from 0. So 10's distance from 0 is 10. So that is the magnitude of this value. So this is a scalar. Similarly 25, 25 is a scalar. 42.6, it is a scalar. Any generic number is a scalar which has got magnitude. So magnitude is just the distance from 0 here, okay, in scalar. So the magnitude is the value itself. So it is the magnitude of that value, that is 42.6 is the magnitude of value 42.6. So this is a scalar value. Next, to look into scalar in real time, okay, like when do we use these scalar values? We use it in all kind of computations. Like to take an example, suppose you are buying a mobile phone, okay, which is costing you somewhere around 40,000 rupees. Now this 40,000 is a scalar which defines the price of the phone. Now like suppose you want to buy some accessories for that phone, which is again costing you extra 1,000 rupees. So now the total will be nothing but 40,000 plus 1,000, so 41,000. So this is called as scalar addition. So like here we do scalar calculations in real time to figure out all kind of things. So to calculate all kind of numbers, we do scalar calculation a lot. So this is just an example of where do we use scalar computation. So now to look into vector. So what is a vector? So vector is something that has got magnitude as well as direction. So anything which has magnitude and direction is called as a vector. So now if you have multiple numbers, suppose you have a collection of multiple numbers, then that numbers are following some direction. So that is like a vector. So vector is something which has got magnitude as well as directions. So its entries are called as components of the vector. So now here if you see we have two vectors, one is 3 minus 4 7 which is written within square bracket, and the other one is 3 minus 4 7 which is written within parenthesis. Now both of these are vectors. So this is how like we represent vectors. Now here each of the component within this vector, like if you see 3 minus 4 7, these are each of the components within the vector. These are the entries which we call it as component within the vector. So vector can be in row format or can be in column format and denoted with lowercase bold-faced letters or with an arrow at the top of a letter. That is how like vectors are denoted. So vector has just a single index which can point to a specific value within the vector. So vector also has got index. Now if I want to say my first vector, that is 3. So 3 vector index will be v1. So v1 means the value for v1, that is v1 is the index for the first vector component, that is 3. Similarly v2 refers to the second value within the vector, okay, and v3 will be the third value within the vector. So if you look at vector, like how do we represent vector? So now we know that vector has got some direction as well as magnitude. So now here, like if you see, like we have a vector which has got some magnitude and as well as it has got some direction. So it has got magnitude and direction. So now if you see this vector 1 and 2. So here we have some value. This is a vector where 1 and 2 we have two values here. So this first value is nothing but the x-axis value and the second value is y-axis value. So now to represent vector, we can represent it with respect to axis. So now first axis here, like if you see, this is x-axis and this is y-axis. So now here x-axis is 1 and y-axis is 2. That is my one vector. So suppose we have a vector v where x-axis value is 1 and y-axis value is 2. So then the vector will look something like this. So here you can see when x is 1, y is 2, like that we'll put a point and the line which comes from 0 is nothing but the vector. So this vector has got some magnitude as well as this vector has got some dimension. So the vector shown in the image is of 2 dimension. This approach can be generalized to any number of dimension. For instance, in 3 dimension, a vector will be of form x, y, and z. So now here it is x and y. We can also have a 3-dimension vector of x, y, and z. All of the properties of 2-dimensional vectors can be easily extended to 3 dimensions. So these vectors has also got certain properties, and those properties can be extended to 3 dimensions as well. So now first we'll see some vector computation, that is vector addition. So now this is a vector addition. So here we have two vectors, that is vector A and vector B. So vector A is red in color. So here you can see the line which is red in color is vector A and the other one is B. So now vector A has got certain values like 2 and 3. So these are the components of this vector A, and vector B has got certain components 4 and 2. So now how do I add this vector? Now when we add this vector, we have to add the vector with the corresponding components, that is 2 with 4 and 3 with 2. So we will be getting a new vector, that is 6 and 5. So here we are getting a new vector, that is 6 and 5. So now this new vector what we have got, like if you see, this is nothing but this green line in the diagram. Okay, so here in this diagram, this green line what we are getting is the new vector, that is when x is 6, y is 5. So this is how a vector addition looks like. So addition of vectors satisfy two important properties. One is the commutative law. So here commutative law is like when you have two vectors, if you change the position of the vector or order of the vector, then also you can add it. So here suppose if I take A first and if I try to add B with that, it will be similar to taking B first and adding A with that. So this is called as commutative law. The other one is associative law. So associative law also like is something where you can associate values and add it up. Okay, so here if you take the example like A and B and C, we have three vectors A, B and C. Here suppose if you add A and B, then whatever output you get out of this, you add that output with C, will be similar to if you add B and C first and add the output with A. So vector addition is also associative in nature. So vector addition is commutative as well as vector addition is associative. So now to look at vector subtraction. So vector subtraction is nothing but it's just adding a negative vector with an existing vector. So it's also kind of vector addition. So here like we have two vectors like A vector and B vector, where you can say B vector is a negative vector. So now A vector has got values like 2 and 3, B vector has got values like -4 and -2. So now when I add them up, it will be 2 minus 4 which is -2 and 3 minus 2 which is 1. So this is the new vector what we are getting. So here if you see like what we get is the new vector like here A is a positive vector on the positive axis, so this is positive axis, and B is also here like if we take the negative of B, it is nothing but the reverse of the current B vector, that is the minus B. And the new vector what we are getting here is this one, that is the green one, which you see here, the green line is the new vector, that is when x is 2, x is -2, y is 1. So this is the new vector what we are getting. So this is called as vector subtraction. This is how vector subtraction is done. So vector subtraction also follows the similar properties. Now the next one is magnitude of a vector. So how do we calculate the magnitude of a vector? We know the magnitude of a scalar is nothing but the distance of the values from 0. That is like that is the value itself tells us about the magnitude of the scalar. But here how do we calculate magnitude of a vector? The length of a vector is called the magnitude or modulus of the vector. That is the length of the vector is nothing but the magnitude. So now how do we calculate that? So now to calculate that, we can write it like this, like A with two vertical bars. This is called as modulus of A, or you can call it as magnitude vector. And we can calculate the magnitude of vector by using Pythagoras theorem, which is given by this formula, that is root of x square plus y square. Suppose we have two vectors x and y, then root of x square plus y square will be the magnitude of the vector A. So here there is an example, like what is the magnitude of vector A, which is having values as 6 and 8. So now here modulus of A or A's magnitude will be root of 6 square plus 8 square, which is root of 100, which is nothing but equal to 10. So this is how we can compute the magnitude of a vector. So now we will see some more computations with respect to vectors. That is, first one we'll be looking into is vector scalar multiplication. So now how do we multiply a scalar value with a vector? So when we multiply a scalar value by a scalar value with a vector, it is also called as scaling. It is also called as scaling a vector. So here we change how big or small the vector is. So it's like just changing the magnitudes of the vector. So the direction will remain same. So here like there is an example like multiply the vector m equals 7 and 3. So there is a vector m which is having values as 7 and 3. These are the components of the vector, and if we multiply it by a scalar 3, so what will happen here, like it will get extended, like you can see here within the diagram. So m is there, this is black color one is the m vector, and when we are multiplying it, so it's getting multiplied 3 times, so it's just increasing in magnitude. So here this is how the multiplication works, that is a equal to 3 into m, which is nothing but 3 will be multiplied with each of the component of the vector. That is 3 into 7, that is the first component, then 3 into 3, that is the second component. And the new vector what we get is 21 comma 9, that is the new one. Okay, so this is called as vector scalar multiplication, scaling of a vector, or you can say scaling of a vector. Now to look at vector multiplication. Now if you want to multiply two vectors, there are basically two types of multiplication. One is called as dot product, the other one is called as cross product. So there are two types of multiplication here. So what is the dot product? Now dot product gives a scalar value. Okay, when you multiply two vectors by using a dot product, you will get a scalar value, and is also called as scalar product. This dot product is also called as scalar product. Now how do we compute a dot product? Now suppose we have two vectors a and b. So a dot b, this is the dot product, which is equal to ax into bx and ay into by. So here we have two vectors where we have got the values with respect to y and with respect to x. So here it will be ax into bx. So we'll be multiplying the x values of both the vectors, and then we'll be adding it with the y values, multiplication of both the vectors. So now to take the example of real time, where do we use this? So example is like in everyday life, whenever we are deciding for a shortest route to a place, we instinctively use dot products to decide on the route. So this is nothing but where we use Pythagoras theorem. So Pythagoras theorem is nothing but it's also a dot product. So now like if you look at the example of Google Map. So in Google Map, suppose you want to find a distance to a destination. So Google Map might show you different ways to reach to your destination. Now there are suppose two ways to reach to a destination, but I want to find out what is the shortest way. Then I can go with the dot product. Okay, so dot product gives us the shortest route or shortest way to reach to a specific destination. So this is one example of where dot product is applicable. Similarly, if we take the example of cross product. Now cross product is written as a cross b of two vector, which is nothing but another vector. So it will generate you one more vector which is at right angle to both the existing vector. So cross product is a new vector which is at right angle to both the existing vector. So here suppose we have vector a and b. So the cross product is a cross b, that is nothing but a new vector which is at right angle to both a and b. So example is when a lawn mower is pushed, the mower moves along the grassy ground, but the force is applied at an angle to the direction in which the mower moves. So now these mowers are nothing but these are used to cut the grasses. Okay, in grass field, mowers are used to cut the grass. So now when somebody like when you try to push a mower like move along the forward direction, what happens is the grass gets cut in the perpendicular direction. Okay, so at the top direction. So that's why this is nothing but the angle at which the grass is getting cut is the new vector. Okay, so this is one example with respect to cross product. So this is like how we can compute cross product. That is like when you have two vectors a and b, which is starting at the origin point of 0 0 0, the cross product will be the new product, that is a and b, that is the new vector, that is c. So we'll be having c values here. Suppose we have a vector in 3 dimensions, so that is ax, ay and az, and b is having bx with by and bz. Then to compute cx, it will be ay into bz minus az into by. To compute cy, it will be az into bx minus ax into bz, and to compute cz, it will be ax into by minus ay into bx. So this is how like we can compute the cross product of any given vector. So what we will do now, we will see the implementation of this vector computation in Python, that is using Jupyter Notebook. So we'll just go to Jupyter Notebook and we'll see the implementation of scalars and vectors in Python. So here first I'll be opening a new notebook. We'll just name it as linear algebra, scalars and vectors. So here first to implement scalars or vector to do all this linear algebra computation, we need a package that is NumPy. So first we'll be importing this package NumPy. So now NumPy has all the functionalities to do linear algebra related computations. So now first thing is we'll look into scalars. Now first, how do we figure out if a value is scalar or not? So now first we'll check if a value is scalar. So in NumPy there is a function called as isScalar. So this function you can use to find out if a value is scalar or not. So suppose if I say here isScalar of 26, so it says 26 is a scalar value. Similarly, like I can check for any value, like I will say 26.5, it says this is also a scalar value. So true means it's scalar, false means it's not a scalar. Similarly, I will check for value false. So here for value false also it says it's a scalar value. So why false is a scalar value? So this is nothing but this is a Boolean value. So it will be either 0 or 1 like that. So that's why like false means 0. So it's a scalar value. If I check is scalar for a list. Okay, so what I will do is I'll just pass a list here. That is I'll pass that same value 26 as a list. So you can see here like I'm passing within square brackets. So now again when I check it says it's false. So this is not a scalar value. So why this is not a scalar value? As it is a list, it can hold multiple values. So as it is a list, it can hold multiple values. So that's why it says it's not scalar. So scalar means like any generic number is scalar. So now we will see few scalar computation. We'll see some scalar computations. That is some basic operations, mathematical operation or arithmetic operation on scalar values. So suppose I have two scalar values here, that is s1 and s2. s1 is 6, s2 is 4. So now I want to do some addition on top of this scalar value. So I want to do some scalar addition. So here to do scalar addition, it is simply just s1 plus s2 you can write. Just adding up 6 with 4 and it is giving us 10. So this is how we do basic scalar computations. Now here I will do the other computation, that is we can do subtraction, we can do multiplication by using asterisk symbol, we can do division by using slash or 2 times slash to do floor division. Okay, so I'll just write it down here saying this is addition, subtraction, this is multiplication. So these are all scalar computation: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division, and the last one is integer division, or you can say floor division. Okay, so when I do s minus s2, subtraction it gives us 2, multiplication gives us 24, division gives us 1.5 and floor division gives us 1. So it removes the decimal value. So this is how we can do scalar calculations. Now we will look into a vector. So vector, we know that it's collection of multiple elements. So here I have some values like 1, 2 and 3. So this is a vector. So now when I print it, it says okay, it is having values as 1, 2 and 3. So now like first what I will do is like I will see the multiplication of a scalar with a vector. So we'll try to multiply a scalar with a vector. So now to do that, here suppose I write a into 2. Okay, this is how we do multiplication. So a asterisk 2. So when I multiply this, it gives me value as 1 2 3 1 2 3, but this is wrong. This is not correct, this is incorrect. Okay, this is not the correct computation. So vector calculation doesn't work like that. So we saw while multiplying a scalar with a vector, it should be like the scalar should be multiplied with each of the element of the vector. So that's also called as vector scaling. Now we already know that in Python this list and tuple doesn't work like a vector. Okay, list and tuple doesn't work like a vector. So for that we have arrays. So to make our multi-valued data to work like a vector, we have to convert it to array. So what we can do, we can use np.array of a. So it will convert our a value to array. Then I will multiply a scalar value here. So this is a scalar multiplication. So this is scalar. So multiplying a vector by a scalar. So this is multiplying a vector by a scalar value. So here 2 gets multiplied with each of the component, that is 2 into 1, then 2 into 2, then 2 into 3. Okay, so this is how we are getting the value. So this is scaling of a vector. We can also do this multiplication by using NumPy multiply function. In NumPy there is a function called as multiply. Here like directly you can pass a list and it converts that list to array. If suppose your list or tuple whatever you are passing within multiply, it will convert it to array, then it will multiply. So that is also like you can do a vector computation like this. Okay, so multiply spelling is wrong here. Okay. Okay, so this is also how you can do vector multiplication. Similarly, we'll see adding a scalar value to a vector. So here same way, like we can take an array and then we can add it. So here like 2 we are adding to the vector, that is an array. So 2 plus 1 is 3, 2 plus 2 is 4, 2 plus 3 is 5. Like that it has added. We can also do the addition by using np.add. So here you can directly pass a list and you can add the value. So this is how we can do addition of a scalar with a vector. So you can also do subtraction in this similar way. So there is a function like vector subtraction if you want to do. So that is np dot subtract and you pass the values. Or you can also convert the data to array and you can do the subtraction. So this is how we can do vector subtraction. So we looked into the scalar computation with respect to vector. We looked into scalar and scalar computations. So after scalar and scalar computation, we looked into vector and scalar computation. Now we will look into vector and vector computation. Now suppose you want to add two vectors. Okay, suppose we have multiple vectors. So here we'll see vector and vector computation. Like I have a vector A where I have values like 10, 15, 18. I have some vector B where I have values like 11, 23, 45. So I have two vectors here. Now I want to add these two vectors. I just want to add these two vectors. So A plus B. This is how, like if I add, it gives me error because these are not in array format. So we have to convert it to array format, or you can use np.add and pass A and B. Okay, it will work. So here it gives me 21, 38, 63. So how does it add? That is, each of the corresponding component will be added. That is 10 with 11, 15 with 23, 18 with 45. So this is how vector addition can be done. Similarly, we will see vector subtraction. So for subtraction, you can use np.subtract. Okay, to do subtraction, you can simply use np.subtract. So now what we will do, like I will suppose I want to do subtraction directly with arrays. We can also convert it to array like this. So here I have converted my vector to arrays and then I'm subtracting. Okay, this is also we can do, or I can also add because it is in array format. Now I can directly add by using the plus operator, that is for addition. So this is how we can do vector subtraction and addition. You can also use a function that is np.subtract. So this is also how you can do vector subtraction. So we looked into vector, vector addition and subtraction. Now we will see how to multiply two vectors. So we know to multiply two vectors, we have two types of vector multiplication. One is cross product, the other one is dot product. So first we'll see dot product of two vectors. So how to compute the dot product of two vectors? So in NumPy there is a function called as dot. So you can use this function np dot dot, then pass the values a and b. So here it gives us a scalar output. So we know that dot product is nothing but it will give you a scalar output. So here we are getting a scalar output. Similarly, we will see the cross product. So now for cross product, there is a function in NumPy that is cross, np dot cross, and pass the values. So we know that cross product is nothing but a new vector which is like at the right angle to both of the existing vector. So this is a new vector which we are getting. So this is how you can do cross product of any given vector. So we looked into vector computation. Now we'll look into one more thing, that is finding out magnitude of a vector. So how do we find out magnitude of a vector in NumPy? So we know we can use Pythagoras theorem to find out the magnitude. Here in NumPy we can use a module called as linear algebra. Okay, LINALG, which stands for linear algebra, and in that there is a function called as norm. So this will give you the magnitude. So here I am just finding out the magnitude of vector A. So it gives us 25.47. So this is the magnitude of vector A. So this is how we can compute the magnitude of vector. So this is all about the computations using this one, that is Python, all the scalars and vector computation using Python. So we looked into all the computation, that is scalar as well as vector addition, subtraction, magnitude of a vector scalar multiplication, then vector multiplication, that is dot product, as well as cross product. Then this is all like we saw in Python. Okay, so thank you. So this is all for this session. Thank you.